Hey everyone, so much for CP time. I'm actually starting a whole 60 seconds early, so hope you guys appreciate it. I appreciate you being here waiting and ready on time. You guys know the drill. If you've been here before, please drop your city and state so that I can shout you out. Once I get started though, I won't be able to say hello because I will want to just push through this material. I am excited because today I have a lot of stuff that I want to share, and I've been listening to your feedback, especially on Instagram, and I really think this is going to be helpful to a lot of women. And although I'm going to be using female pronouns and talking a lot to women, a lot of this stuff is still stuff that men can relate to. So guys, don't run away. You could still enjoy the show and get something from it, I believe. Hey, Maisha. From LA, we have her coming in from LA. Very nice. I'll say hi to everybody as they come in. And thank you so much. I see that all of you have hit that like button, and you know that is really important to hit that like button so YouTube knows this is the type of content that more people should see. All right, so everybody is getting in here. Like I said, I started like a minute early, so thank you to everybody who's come in and you're hitting that like button. Drop your city and state, say hi. The usual, the regulars. I'll shout you guys out. I start to recognize names at this point, so it's nice to see familiar faces. While you guys are getting in and get settled, I do want to show you guys, I don't know if everyone has seen this on Instagram, but I am very excited to announce that I have a book that I am sharing. It's an ebook, and a couple of you guys have already grabbed your copy. Been talking about it for just a little while on Instagram, but essentially it is a how-to guide for a first date. For those of you who know my story, you know I got married like right away. It was one of my first relationships. I was in there for 12 years. So when I found myself back on the market in my 30s, I had so many questions. And so I reached out to the guys who were in my private Facebook group, and we had over 1,000 guys. I asked a bunch of questions, and I started to see a lot of things that were consistent with the guys. And so what I did was I compiled all that data and I put it into an easy how-to guide. And that's why I call it First Date 101, a man's guide to dating a man, because a lot of people can give advice from the female perspective, but unless you're dating women, you need to hear from the guys. So I am just the go-between, but snatch up that book if that's something you're interested in. I have included a link to the book down below, and I'll mention it again at the end after we wrap up tonight. So super excited to have you. We've got a Houston in the house. Very nice. All right, so let's get into it. If you've been following my content for some time, you know that I really get on the women who are just all too into themselves. You know, they're too self-centered and they look at guys more as commodities than human beings with souls. And I really lay into these ladies. Well, tonight is going to be the complete opposite. I'm going to be talking to the women that put too much on the man and they don't put enough emphasis on their needs. They're so consumed with what the guy wants. And everything has a balance in life. It's good to care about your partner's needs. It's good to compromise, but you don't want the pendulum to swing all the way to the other side to the point where you get resentful and you feel like your needs aren't being met. So the person I want to speak to tonight is the person who is either not in a relationship but is dating, or is in a relationship and their needs are not being met. All right. Let's see. She said, I love how you mentioned the like button. Very nice. When I clicked the video, it automatically opens the live chat and the like button is not there. Oh, that's so odd. So you'll have to describe for me. Actually, you know what? I can probably open on my cell phone. You guys mind if I check really quick? I love hearing the feedback, because I don't have the same experience that you guys have. And I apologize if it starts playing for just a second, but I want to see. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, you're absolutely right. That is something that YouTube should have as feedback. That is something that, or they ask the content creators to give their feedback. So I'll definitely include that. So it looks like you have to close out of it and then hit the like button and then go back into the chat. So thank you so much. I appreciate that, Maisha. You guys always get me together. And you know what? I think I'm going to look here instead of doing what I usually do and squint and try to see on my computer screen, which is so far away. Let's see. We got, oh, Barbados. I love that. I think it's your first time. I don't recognize your name. So hello. Thank you for tuning in. All right. So as you guys know at the beginning, I always say hi to everybody. If you guys are one of the first few in here. but we're going to get started right away. All right. And let me know, because for me on my end, okay, you guys are looking at a face. I'm literally just looking at a camera. So give me your feedback. If you guys like something, don't be afraid to drop the clap emoji. If you disagree with something, you can mention that too. I really like the feedback, because that's the only downside of doing things virtually, is that you don't get a chance to feel what's happening if something is resonating with people, okay? And as content creators, we are going 100% off of what you guys respond to. I was doing a lot of stuff about self-love and healthy habits. You guys didn't respond that much. I went back into talking about relationship stuff and y'all went crazy. So I really do listen to what you guys have to say. Don't feel like any feedback is too small or insignificant. I'm literally doing this for you guys. So make sure that you share whatever you would like to share, as long as it's constructive and said in love, okay? We have a Marilyn. Oh, very nice. And Akira. Hey, girl, she's coming from Long Beach. All right, so as I said just a second ago, normally I talk about the women who are just so self-centered and they're overly consumed with what they have going on. But there are also people like the former me who I didn't realize that it was happening subconsciously, but I didn't love myself enough to feel like I was worth having my needs being met or tended to. And a lot of times things that we do are based off of fear. And as I always say, fear is the worst thing that can dictate your choices, because love is on the other side of fear. You have to get past the fear if you actually want to experience love. And so a lot of times people don't speak up because they're scared of losing something or scared of rocking the boat or things like that. But a lot of times that rocking is exactly what is needed to shake out what's not necessary. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I really want you guys to have specific information that can help you navigate through this dating world, because I know a lot of people, my former self included, really wanted to be in a relationship, because a healthy relationship can be amazing. But what is worse than being alone and lonely is being in the wrong relationship, because at least when you're dating, you have the dream that one day you can meet the right person. If you're stuck with the wrong person and they have no desire to make changes, or they're just not cut out to be what you need, you're stuck. And if you're married and you take marriage seriously, you're not just going to quickly jump the gun and want to get divorced. So I really hope this gets to people who have not yet entered relationships. When I say relationships, I mean marriage, because you can get out of dating someone. But marriages, I ain't trying to break up happy homes. Well, homes, shall we say. All right, so anyway, I want to talk to you guys about self-love. And as I mentioned also before, for the guys who are just tuning in, guys, don't run away. This is geared towards women, but you can still learn a lot about self-love. And as usual, I am looking at my notes, so don't mind me if I look down. I get really excited, and sometimes I forget stuff, so I want to make sure I have my little outline. Chastity says, that's how I felt in my marriage. Stuck. Yeah, it's not a fun feeling. That is so true. I mentioned that fear of losing the person on Laterra's live a few weeks ago. Oh, man. So, yeah, it's tough. Okay. So quickly, I'm going to try to do this in like less than 60 seconds, because I don't want my faithful people to be like, oh my God, I got to hear a story again. But my situation was that I didn't date. My parents were very strict. So I married straight out of college, and I was married for 12 years. I was obsessed with the idea of love, dating, romance, marriage, the whole picket fence, the fantasy. And I was just really excited to get married. And both he and I, as we got closer to the wedding date, because I got engaged within 3 months of knowing the man, we both saw things and that were red flags, and he would have left. But I was so worried about optics, like what would it look like if I broke off the engagement? And also it was like, this is my dream. So I didn't really use a lot of smart judgment. I was more so dealing with my emotions of, but I really want to get married. So horrible. Okay. Maisha says she relates. Thank you, Link. The other thing was I had a ton of fear. Like, is there ever going to be somebody else? Is it ever going to be someone else better? I didn't want him to leave. I was so fearful. And looking back now, I should have been terrified of my needs not being met, not terrified of a man leaving me. Okay. And this is not to bash my ex-husband. It's not necessarily things that make him a bad person. It just made him incompatible with me. All right. My actions also showed that I didn't love myself as much as I loved the idea of being in a relationship where I love the other person. So that's that. All right. So the first thing, if you guys are taking notes, all right, The first thing I would say is have a life. And before you come for me and say this sounds really harsh, literally have a life. I remember doing a discussion with a group of women from Chicago, and I was asking them, what things do you want to do once you meet your guy? And they had all these things that they wanted to do, right? And I said, hey, why don't we scrap this? Why don't we throw all this away as far as the timeline and start to do the things now? Obviously, there's some things you can't do by yourself, well, that you can do with a partner. But as far as your goals, your dreams, your aspirations, your biggest one should not be marriage. And that was my biggest downfall. I always said, man, everyone else has these goals. I want to be a nurse, or I want to travel, or I want to do this. My goal was to get married. And the problem with having a goal like that, although it's beautiful and God loves, you know, homes and families and commitment and all that stuff, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be married. But if that is your biggest goal, that is an issue because you don't have control over it. I know some girls who have not met their partner until their late 40s, okay? And I'm not speaking that over your life. I'm just saying, God forbid you don't start to live your life until your 40s, okay? You want to start to have a life now and not just go through the motion to pretend to look busy and booked. Actually figure out what you like to do. By the way, if you guys just tuned in, please smash the like button if you are enjoying this content. And as Maisha shared, you're gonna have to click out of the chat, and so you can see the like button, smash it, and then come right back on in the chat. I'd appreciate it so much more. So Chastity says she relates. She said marriage was at the top of her list. So when I got out of my marriage, and I was so retarded. Oh, that's not politically correct. I was so silly. I keep forgetting these words that we grew up saying in the 80s and 90s are like not correct nowadays. So I apologize for that. But I was so silly. When I was filling out on a dating app, it said, what things do you like to do in your free time? And I instinctively started to put, you know, walks along the beach. And I'm like, I don't ever walk along the beach, certainly not alone. And so, oh, definitely, Chastity. Thank you. Definitely not alone. And so I actually had to close out of the app because I really wanted to put something meaningful, but I couldn't think of anything. So that started my year of yes. I want to say that was like 2017. And I started to really branch out, start to say yes to all these different things that I got invited to that maybe previously I wouldn't do. And I also started doing things that I wanted to do even if I couldn't get anyone to go with me. Because what I realized was there were a lot of things that I thought I liked to do, but I actually only like to do them with friends, or I only like to do them on a date. So I would recommend part of getting your life is make a bucket list. Don't make like a lifelong bucket list. Make a 2021 bucket list, or 2022, whatever year you're watching this in. Make a list for that year and get out and start doing it. Now, it's not to say that you're going to start a hobby and this is something you do for a lifetime. You might do it one time and hate it, but at least you did it and you have fun memories and maybe you have a cute picture for the gram. But get out there and actually start to have a life. And side note, men absolutely love it when women have a life. They do not like to feel like you are walking on crutches, and when they get you, they have to scoop you up and carry you through life. They want to feel like you have some stuff going on for yourself. All right, so let's see. Actually, I'm going to read this comment. Link says, but did you pick him, sis? Is based on what stressed society puts on you and messy so-called friends, but did you pick him? So here's the thing. I halfway picked my husband, but I halfway didn't towards the end, because through the picking process, I would have let go. So initially I grabbed on too soon and I would have let go. And he tried to let go, to his credit, but I was a basket case. No, you're not going to leave me right before I wait. No. All right, so let's see. Okay, so I'm just checking to see if you guys have any questions based on where I am right now, because unlike the other one, I want to stick with each topic as we go. All right, so it's hard talking a lot, y'all. I gotta keep my whistle wet. Let's see. Don't wait. Create the life. Oh, and I would say this. Look at it like you're going to be single forever. If somehow you saw into a crystal ball and you figured out that you're going to be single forever, what would your plan B be? And make your plan B awesome to where you're not bummed that you have to do it, okay? Because like I said, you cannot control things. It's like wanting to be in the NFL. That's great, and you should do everything in your power to get there. But you have to have a contingency plan, because you look at the stats and, you know, you can't control that, or God forbid you have an injury or something like that. All right, so I think that's everything. Now, here's the final thing that I want to say on this first piece, which is Get Life, right? That's the first section. Is that if you're still anxious and it's overwhelming anxiety, I'm talking about crying, I'm talking about feeling depressed, I'm talking about having anxiety. This is not like, oh, I just wish I was in a relationship and keep going. It's like I can't watch certain movies because I'm being triggered. I'm so jealous seeing my friends getting married and having kids. If it is something that is starting to take away from the joy in your life currently, that is probably something that you want to look into. And I did a video on on Instagram, excuse me, that I said, what's your mirage? Hey, Faith. I said, what is your mirage? And so she said, what if your goals are things you want to do with the husband? Yes, that's why I say at the beginning, some things you want to do with the husband, but you have to start doing some things beforehand. But what is your mirage? My understanding, and this is just a guess because this is spiritual stuff, you guys, but my belief system is that we are spirits who are encased in flesh and we are having a human experience, but we exist as spirits and we're going to eternally exist as spirits. And we have certain spiritual needs the same way our physical body has physical needs. And as I mentioned in the last live stream talking about why I got divorced, I was explaining, you can watch that one in more, if you want to get this in more detail. Some of us have aches in our soul, but our mind tries to use logic, and we all have our default thing that we think is the solution. So if you have that ache, in your mind, it might say, oh, it's a relationship I'm missing, right? That's my mirage. For a guy, that ache might be, I don't have the career that I want. If I had that career and I was this boss and I, reached this certain level of success, then this ache will go away in my heart. For other people, they feel like it's a high that they need. If I can just get high enough or drunk enough or have enough sex or if I have enough fame, everybody has their own personal mirage. So if your desire to be in a relationship is something that is overwhelming to the point you're doing stuff that you would normally not do, you're just not enjoying life, you probably need to look into that spiritually, because that is something that that can only be dealt with spiritually because it's a spiritual void. But like I said, I went into a lot more depth in that in my last video. And if you really want to explore that, I have what's called a Sunshine Club, and you guys can access that. There's a link in my description here on YouTube, and we have meetings once a month, and we really get into depth about whatever you guys want to talk about. So I'm going to save that for that, but I do want to touch upon that because that is huge. Do not skip step 1 if that's something that you're struggling with. Let's see. Let me look at this next question. If women took a deeper look into this, it proves the point. Okay. All right. I'm checking to see if you guys have any questions. All right. So moving right along, make sure that's not, a spiritual wound that you're missing. Now, if it's just a normal, like I said, oh, I would like to be in a relationship. I equated it to my living situation. I no longer live in a house right now. I live in an apartment, but I would one day like to live in a house. Obviously, there's more space. I can have my yard. I can have my garage. I would like that one day, but I don't lay awake at night pining for that house. I'm enjoying my apartment right now. It's what I have and I love it, but I'm not stressing out. So if you use that comparison, you can kind of see if you're in a healthy place or not healthy place. All right. So the next thing that I want you to do is, if you're not in a relationship, I want you to create a standard. So this would be number 2. Create a standard before you meet the guy. A lot of times women will allow their emotions to dictate what a guy gets access to, how quickly things progress, or what have you. You need to set the standard first. You need to decide when you want to have sex. Are you practicing abstinence? Are you practicing the 30-day rule? Are you waiting for some other indication? What is your preference before you get into a relationship? You also need to know, what are your deal breakers? I know for me, when I was not married and before I had children, it was an absolute deal breaker to have someone with children. Now, I don't know why people get triggered by that, because it's just my personal preference, but I did not want to have that experience. I didn't want to deal with another parent who was in the picture who used to have a romantic relationship with my person. I didn't want to deal with scheduling. I didn't want any of that stepmom stuff. It wasn't so much about the kid, but it was like, I wanted my first experience, whatever. Why am I going into so much detail? You guys get the point. Have your deal breakers set out beforehand, because a lot of times as women, we get emotional, we rationalize things, and we let guys get in our ear and talk, and then we start moving all across the board. Okay, so have your list beforehand. The other thing is, what are the minimum requirements? Don't shoot yourself short. And now I'm not talking about, you know, having unrealistic expectations. He's got to look like this, and his facial hair needs to be like that. I'm talking about the minimum. Like for me, the minimum, what is his relationship like with God? Okay. I'm insecure about towering over a guy. So if I was like towering over a dude, I don't think I could deal with that. I don't think I could deal with the guy who was like 5'6", 5'7". Okay. That's just me. I have certain basic things. He needs to have a good grasp of the English language. He can't, you know, be in that life. I mean, just basic stuff. Side teeth, pretty important stuff. But for real though, what are your minimum requirements? So know the things that you will or won't do, period, just for who you are. Know what your deal breakers are, and know what your minimum requirements are, so that you don't just keep moving the pin, or whatever that's called, you know, moving the end goal, the goal line, whatever you have to say. If you guys are enjoying this, by the way, please go ahead and hit that like button. And as I shared earlier, you have to close the chat window to be able to see the like button, and then you can just click the chat window back. But please do that so YouTube knows that this is the type of content more people need to see. Okay, thank you for that, you guys. Now, the next thing is, I want you guys to make sure that you date to see what you like. Goalpost, thank you. I was like, sports words, I'm like, okay, goalpost. Date to see what you like. As women, we're so excited to have the potential to meet the person, our future guy, that we get overly excited. If you guys have ever watched any reality shows that have dating elements to them, the guy is like, hi, my name is Tom. And she's like, oh, he might be the one. Like, I mean, it's cool to think that Tom could possibly be the one, but that shouldn't be in the forefront. It should be, what things does Tom do that I like? And look at yourself almost doing data. Like, think of yourself as an alien visiting from outer space, and you're like, let me see what these humans are like. You have to have the mentality that you're doing research. You need to see, okay, am I into PDA? Do I really like being on the phone? How do I feel about this? How do I feel about that? Really start to see what behaviors and actions and attributes that you like, so you could start to be objective. We as women tend to not be so objective. We latch on to the first guy that gives us attention, and we tend to not be as objective as we need to be. Or, thank you, Miss Delicious, we move the goalpost, all right? So we would say, like, normally I'm not comfortable hanging out at a guy's house on the first date, but suddenly this guy's fine, and you're like, yeah, you can come over. So have your stuff together and really look at the situation objectively and see what you like. Do I like the way he's treating me? Do I like how I feel when I am with him? And don't feel like the very first guy you have to get exclusive with, okay? Take your time. And that's the other thing. I'm going to kind of jump around a little bit, but you control the pace. Ladies, you control the pace. The men initiate, but you control the pace, all right? He can talk to you all he wants, but until you give him your number, he can't call you. He can call you all he wants, but until you pick up the phone, he can't have a conversation. He can ask you out all he wants, but until you agree, y'all ain't going out. He can want to have sex with you all you want, but until you open your legs, y'all ain't having sex, okay? You see what I'm saying? Let him be the leader, but you control the pace. And here's the thing, okay? This is a little cheat code. This is out of the mouth of men. And like I said before, this is not something Yonci sat around dreaming up. This is stuff I've gotten straight out of the horse's mouth, okay? These are guys who do not have ulterior motives. These are things that guys collectively had agreed upon, and I am just like a big sister, big cousin. I'm just relaying the information onto you, okay? So this is not the book of Yonci. This is facts from men directly. Men get horny and they will try to sleep with you, but if they actually like you, subconsciously, they want to have to earn it. The reason why one of the guys said this, he said, it's because subconsciously, if it's very easy to get in your pants, he cannot help but think it's easy to get in your pants. He wants to feel special, just like you. You don't want to feel, you might like the phone call, but if you found out he was calling 15 girls after he got the phone with you, it's less special, okay? We are egotistical. We like to feel special. And same thing with guys. They don't want to be with the girl who seems like she's easy. Although they will click on the thirst trap pictures and like the IG model stuff, and they can lust after the porn star, the woman they actually want to be with and have on their arm and marry is not that type of chick. They want to have the lady in the streets, right? We all know that saying. So even if you want to be with him, do not shoot yourself in the foot. And I don't care that it's 2021. I don't care that there's a whole women's movement. I don't care what the feminists say. This is what the men are saying. All right. So what we're doing is not working, a lot of us. So we have to got off track because I'm seeing the troll comments. Let me know, ladies, if anyone is trolling, because I will take care of that. We are always coming in a spirit of unity. We are coming in a spirit of love. We are coming together so that we can break generational curses. We are coming so that people can be fulfilled. So I rebuke any negative energy in the name of Jesus. If that's happening. So report it to me, if you guys, if you see it. Because the text is so far to read. I don't want to stop and read if I don't have to. Anyway, as I was saying, back to our regularly scheduled program, wait. Slowing down is never something that people will regret, all right? No one has ever said, I regret taking a while to get to know my person. All right, so let's see. All right, get back to my notes. I got a little distracted. All right, so let him take the lead, but you control the pace. And this is part of self-love. Self-love says, I don't just have to do something because the offer's on the table. I don't have to give him my phone number just because he asked. I don't have to go out with him just because he asked. I don't have to sleep with him just because he tried. You deserve to make your own decisions. And like I said, ironically, that makes a man respect you more. They like to feel like the woman is secure and she's not just easily moved. All right. That's something that he's going to be looking for, even if he never admits that to you. All right. So let's see. Make sure you date. So like I said, date to see what you like. Discover what your love language is. Write in there LL, because I don't want you to have to type out love language, but type LL if you're familiar with love languages, because I don't want to get into what they are if the majority of people know what love languages are, but just type LL and we will see. I'll name them as you guys are commenting just so you guys can hear them, but there's acts of service, quality time, gifts, words of affirmation, and physical touch. For me, okay, I see one person has heard of love languages. 2 people have heard of it. 3 people have heard of it. 4 people, 5 people. All right, so 5 of you guys have seen, have heard about love language. All right, so that's about 6. So let's see. I don't want anyone eating my food either. We have our own plates. That's funny. Okay, so good. It's actually, now that the votes are coming in, it looks like the majority. I would say over half of you guys have responded and you have said love languages. Okay, perfect. So what I've learned about myself, because I used to think, oh, words of affirmation was my top love language. I realized that I actually have a gateway love language. And by gateway, what I mean is, that for me, quality time is my gateway. If you don't give me quality time, I don't want your words of affirmation because I don't believe them. I don't believe anything you have to say if you haven't spent quality time with me. And I certainly don't want your physical touch because I don't feel like you deserved it. So I figured out to me that my gateway is quality time. But now once we're getting that quality time, I want those words of affirmation and I definitely want that physical touch. So take time to figure out which ones you like. Chastity says she's the same. Very nice. Okay. All right, cool. Oh, and you know what, Tony? Yes, if you're talking about the love languages link, definitely do that. If you're willing to do that, that's really sweet. I'm assuming that he's talking about the test to figure out what your love language is. If you haven't taken it, it's amazing. It's a great book to read. Dr. Eric Chapman, I want to say his name is Gary Chapman. Gary Chapman wrote that, and he's written a couple other ones since. He's done one for dating or for marriage, and I think some other ones. So it's good stuff. But know what your love language is, because this is really, really important. Make sure you ask the guy a lot of questions. A lot of women are scared to ask questions because they don't want to look too eager. They don't want to do this and that. But the thing is that if a guy really likes you, you're not going to scare him away. I really want to emphasize that, so I'm going to repeat that. If the guy really likes you, you're not going to scare him away by asking questions, okay? This is the thing. We have to not be scared to scare a man away, because you're not going to scare a man away. You're going to scare an F-boy away. And who doesn't want to have an F-boy leave, all right? So the thing is that if you think a guy is a great guy, but you start asking questions or you start doing certain things and he ghosts you or he starts backing off, take that as a telltale sign he wasn't serious. A guy who just wants to get into your pants or just is bored and wants attention, he's not going to want to do the work. But the guy who really wants you does not care. That's why they say ain't no mountain high enough, ain't no river wide enough, okay? He doesn't care what it takes. He's going to win your hand. Okay, Chastity says men hate it when I ask questions. They say that you're trying to start a fight. Give me an example of like 3 questions that you would normally ask and let me know when. I would really be interested to see. Faith said actions are mine. She said, I don't know what you say. You're not about the action. But what is the action though? Because the love languages, there is acts of service. You have gifts. Those could both be technically an action. Physical touch is technically an action. So what specifically, do you like? Anthony says we are afraid of interrogation. Now I will say this, and I was thinking that too, Anthony. And that's why I was asking her what she says and when. You have to see the spirit in which you're coming. Okay. And this is not directed to Chastity. But you have to see the spirit in which you're coming. And this is something that I talk about in my book. There are a lot of women who will ask a question kind of like with this posture, right? Her energy is this posture. She might not physically be seeing this, but what's this? What's that? How about that? Da, 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 da. And it comes off like, I want you to impress me. What are your answers? Let me see if they line up. That's different than saying, hey, what are your goals? Or, when's the last time you've been in love? And you're genuinely trying to get to know the person. There's a difference in the energy. So I don't know too many guys who would have a problem with over the course of time, you progressively starting to ask deeper questions. Where do you see yourself in 5 years or what have you? And there is an actual book. I should have put it right in front of me because I reference it all the time. But it's a book about questions that you should ask. It says, don't you dare get married until you ask these questions. It's 500 questions you can ask that are based on sections like sex, romance, family, trust, intimacy, all that stuff. So I think you absolutely have to ask your questions. Okay, perfect. Link is co-signing that statement. All right, so where was I at? So get to know your love language, ask lots of questions, and also, even more importantly, see what questions he asks you. Now, some people have the stance like, oh, over time, I'll get everything I need to know. But I don't really buy that. There are certain things, like you can kind of tell her demeanor, you can tell what she likes, and you can get to know her patterns. But there's other questions that you would only know through talking. Like, unless you meet her family, you're not going to really know how her parents are, her relationship with her parents. You're not going to know what her life was like as she was growing up. What kind of childhood home did she get raised in? You're not going to know a lot of the things that you need to go deeper into. And I feel like a lot with women of our generation, we don't ask the deep questions. We ask the dumb stuff like, what kind of shows do you like to watch? Or what's your favorite position? Maybe the guys will ask that. Or, where do you like to travel? You got to really get to know the person, because a lot of times people get down to the end of the relationship. They're like, wait, you don't want kids? How did you not ask these questions like early on? And that's why I say too, you want to ask those deal breakers right away so you don't get your emotions caught up, especially if he's falling fine. We can lose our mind if he's falling fine. Don't ask that 5-year question because we don't really know. And, hey, him not really knowing could also give you an answer too. I'm just saying. Most guys know, if they're in a position where if they met the right person, they can settle down or things like that. She says, see, that's what I'm saying. I ask a question, they get mad and ignore. Yeah, all I say is when a man really likes a woman, a lot of these rules go out the window for him, that he might say. Be super observant, you guys. Be super observant. And if you're the type of person that if you're a people pleaser and you really, really, really want a relationship, you are going to very possibly have a fantasy in your mind, and it's going to be a little bit different from reality, okay? So be objective. And I've seriously considered I seriously consider putting like a little journal together for women that tend to be delusional, no shade, to really itemize, like, when was the last time he called me? When was the last time he asked me out on a date? How late in the week did he ask me on a date? And if you start to see a pattern, like he asked me the same day on a Saturday for a date, or he calls me at 10 o'clock at night, booty call hours, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, whatever. You have to be objective. A man who really respects you and values your time, he's not going to wait to the absolute last minute to ask you out for a date. He's going to make sure he puts in his, what do you call it? His, I can't think what it's called, like his bid. He wants to get in early, right? He wants to get the highest chance that he's going to get a yes from you. He's also not going to wait till, the middle of the night to call you. He's going to want to see how you're doing. He's going to check in, at least through text or things like that. You have to be observant and pay attention to his behavior. And don't go off of what he says, okay? Go off of what he does. Ask the question so that he can mark himself on what he says, but then you use it to see if it lines up with what he does. A lot of times we hear what we want to hear, and we're like, yay, he said all the right things, but nothing that he did matched up. So be observant, okay? The other thing that you need to do is you need to be objective about where you are right now. Don't get so caught up in the future, what can happen down the road. Go off of what's happening today. All right. So don't celebrate it if it didn't happen. I think this is going to be, no. She also has to value her own time. 100%. Exactly. Thank you, Tony. Definitely have to value your own time. And this is where the self-love comes in, you guys. And this is where you have to have your life. And the other thing is if you have plans, all right, this is a little old school rule, but I think it's great. Have a Wednesday rule. Okay. If he hasn't asked you out by Wednesday for a weekend date, let him know your plans already. Subconsciously, this lets him know you're not sitting around twiddling your thumbs. And here's the thing. Some people might be like, oh, just pretend like you have plans. No, actually make plans. Actually make plans. Do things that you have fun doing. And don't be afraid to post it on the gram if you want to. People need to know you're not sitting around waiting for them to call. All right? And have an idea in your mind. You know what? If he calls after this time, this is inappropriate, depending on, like how early it is in the relationship. If you feel like it's inappropriate for him to call after 9:30, then turn your phone off to do not disturb or don't answer it after 9:30. You have to set boundaries. The Wednesday rule is brilliant. Thank you so much. I actually stole that from somebody else, but I absolutely love the rule because you think about it, right? Like if there's a concert that you really want to go to and you're inviting your girlfriend, would you seriously wait 4 days before? No, like you'd want to make sure she could go. You want to make sure you're guaranteeing that you have something to go with, yada, yada, yada. So we have to start prioritizing ourselves and acting like we are valuable. And here's the thing. I've seen so many women make excuses for things. Oh, he's so busy or this or that. Men do what they want to do, okay? They figure out how to make it happen. Let's see. Oh, this is the other part, y'all, because I hate to say this. It just sounds like we're so emotional. We are. Have a trusted friend who's objective, okay? Y'all know when you talk to your girlfriend, that one girlfriend, and there be that one little piece of information that you don't want to share with her because you know she's going to be on you, right? That one red flag. Whatever information you don't want to share with her, that's something that you really, really, really need to be honest with yourself about. And be objective. Keep her filled in and let her know where you are with the process. Let her know the things that are happening because sometimes it takes that other person to get our minds together. I have my person and she will call me with some trifling stuff and I'll be like, girl, you are really complaining about some minuscule stuff. Meanwhile, these other people wish they could be in a relationship and you worried about this. And she's like, you right. We have to keep each other on track. And sometimes we as ladies, we can get our little heads in the cloud and we can, go 10,000 miles ahead. We're picking out the ring and he hasn't even asked us out on a weekend date. Okay. Let's see. A trusted friend who's objective. Nice. Thank you, Faye. Thank you, you guys. Jen says, yes, I'm that friend. She really is. Jen will snatch your edges. Okay. Let's see if you want to do something Friday night, Wednesday night. It's very much late. Okay. All right. So let's see. Sorry. I'm trying to read these comments, y'all. Okay. And here's the other thing. Oh my God. So I had someone very close to me tell me this. She said, oh my gosh, once I got married, I'm not very sexual, right? And she said, Oh, they said there's always a Yogi Bear woman that throws shade. But this is the thing. That's why you have to be intuitive, okay? At this point, you should know which chick gives you good advice, all right, and which one's just a hater. Okay, I don't have any friends. I have to think myself. I have to think for myself. Oh, dang, girl. Well, look, you might want to connect with some of the ladies on this chat. These sound like a lot of these ladies sound like good people. And speaking of, this is a perfect transition. You ladies, I have been thinking the past couple of days, maybe the last week. I have so many Facebook communities for all these different things. I have my Sunshine Club, whatever. I have my little private group with my friends. But I was thinking about starting a girlfriends group for us to be able to share. We could share stories. We could encourage each other. If you guys want to ask advice, it could be a more trusted space. It's not on a public platform like YouTube. You don't want to put yourself out there like that. If enough people are interested in that, I might put something together. So just let me know in the comments, or you guys can slide in my DM on Instagram. My Instagram handle's right there. It's really easy. It's the same name. But I'm thinking about doing that because there's a lot of stuff that we can encourage each other with and swap stories and things like that. And again, if you have a person you need an accountability person, you might find your girl space friend in a place like that. Okay, so that's that. Here's the thing. So I had someone tell me, getting back to my story, she was saying that she's not very sexual, okay? And so she was like, I realized that I was being very sexual and provocative when I was dating, but that's not really me, right? Because I remember wanting to talk to her about certain stuff, and she was so prudish about it, like, oh, I don't want to talk about it. This is someone I'm very close to. So I was like, girl, bye. And she had this kind of epiphany as we were talking on the phone, and I said, whoa. I bet you this is the reason a lot of guys say I don't have a lot of sex when they get in marriage, because the woman is putting on this role because society makes it seem like men are just so thirsty for sex. So the women is like, oh, let me be the sex kitten. But here's the problem. Just like you don't want a guy to come in, sweeping off your feet, being all romantic, and that's not really him, you want to start how you're going to finish. So if you're not an overly sexual person, don't put on all this extra, okay? Don't hit him with the woo-wah. I don't know, I just made it up. Don't hit him with all the goodness, okay? If that's not your normal stilo, okay? Maybe that's something every once in a blue moon that comes out after you're married as a surprise. No man ever gets mad about a surprise that's in a positive way. But don't come in with your just amazingness and it's not something that you can maintain, okay? I'm trying to say this in a very classy way. But don't start something you can't finish, okay? It's a two-way street. Be yourself. If you're not the type of person to be all glammed up, don't always be glammed up because you're going to be mad when he's expecting you to maintain that, okay? So embrace who you are. And it's a fine line, you guys, because obviously you have to compromise a little bit and do certain things to, you know, make your man attracted to you and vice versa. But I would say that don't steer so far from who you are to where you can't keep it up. I know for me, I didn't really take the time to think about who I was. And when I described who I was going to be, I described my mama, who is a June cleaver. She was always dolled up. She'd make sure that she was looking crazy during the day, cleaning, scrubbing on hands and knees, cooking meals from scratch. But then when my dad came home, right before, she'd go upstairs, freshen up, put her hair down, do her makeup, whatever. Like, I wasn't doing all that, okay? I wasn't a domestic goddess that way. I was lazy as hell. So don't put on this whole act because you think it's going to get his attention, because once you get him, you're going to be hating your life because he's going to expect you to maintain that, okay? Okay, all right. So let's see. Okay, got through that. And finally, not finally, I have two more things. Don't be scared to turn a man away. I kind of jumped in this. I've been all over the place with my notes. But let him, don't be scared to turn him away, okay? This is the thing. You cannot have a scarcity mindset. You cannot have a scarcity mindset, and you have to truly understand that the man who is into you is going to be built for tough. I'm not talking about actively trying to chase him away. I'm not talking about putting him through tests. I'm not talking about that. But I'm saying that if you are your authentic self, and you guys, this is probably the most important thing out of this whole live stream, so really pay attention to this, okay? If you're going to walk away with one thing, it's this. If you being you authentically scares him away, cheer him on as he sprints for the door, okay? You don't want a man who cannot handle authentic you. One of the best feelings in the world is when somebody sees the real you and they just want more. So, if you look at dating like buying a lottery ticket, sure, you might go and get one once a week and you have hopes that you win. That would be amazing. You don't actually sit there biting your nails off every time they read the numbers thinking that you're going to win every single time. Women go into dating a lot like that. They buy their ticket and seriously think every single guy is the one. That's why they're terrified when the guy walks away. You have to literally look at it like the ticket. Okay, that one wasn't the winning ticket. Let me go out and buy my next one. This will help you to manage your expectations. And when you start to work on yourself and your self-love, you're going to realize a lot of the guys that I was white knuckling trying to hold on to, I didn't even want them. Like, ugh. He wasn't even a catch. I was just so grateful to get attention and time. This is why you have to really pay attention to the amount of self-love that you have, because you will have rose-colored glasses and you'll be trying to hold on to some people that should have been let go a long time ago. Okay, so Jen says, just because a man chases you, it doesn't mean that he genuinely wants you. Remember, lions chase gazelles. Every day to eat and devour. Keep your eyes open, even if they want to leave. Let them. And this is why time is so important. No person, unless you're really psycho, like there are some people who are really psycho who will just really be in it for the long game. But in my experience, most people can't make it past 30 days. If they're not getting stuff from you, if they're not getting sex, they're not getting a lot of attention, and they're not getting fed, the people who have ulterior motives will not stick around. They are not going to do the things that is above and beyond. So if you've done the things that I mentioned at the beginning, you have your goalpost and it's appropriately high. Not, I'm going to wait for Idris and nobody, not that kind of stuff, not the petty stuff. But if you have your goalpost and it's reasonably high, it's going to weed out, I would say, at least 90%. I really want to say 95. Okay? Weed out 90%. It's kind of like American Idol when you have the auditions. Like, most of it is crap. You're going to find a few diamonds in the rough, and then through that, you'll find your good stuff. But don't go in there thinking every single guy who says one or two nice things is going to be, hit. Okay, I think I see a question. Okay, if a man is dating you and you have each other's attention and now you're on a date, why is your relationship judgment in your girlfriend's hand? Is this a fair question? So, yes, Chastity, you said it very well. She said some people don't trust their own judgment. Others need someone to tell them what they already know. Thank you. It's confirmation. As I'm about to say it, she's typing it. It's a confirmation. It's kind of like that Jiminy Cricket, okay? I don't think I've ever had a friend where I was like hell bent on this, and then she comes in and says this, and I'm like, oh, okay, and then it runs over there. It's kind of like I said with the person earlier. I told her, girl, you tripping, and she's like, you're right. It's kind of like that kick in the pants. It's like the dude when his friend's like, man, you're being a dumbass. Like, you know what I am. You got a good girl. What are you doing? It's that good friend. And again, if you have the type of girlfriend that's going to steer you astray, that's a problem. Sometimes we're so close to things, we're not objective. You've all seen your friend probably, right, deal with someone who is treating them like absolute crap. But because the sex is good, they can't think straight. That's the type of situation I'm talking about. I'm not talking about trivial things like, you thought he was cute, but she's like, oh, I don't think he's cute, and you leave him. It's not like that. It's stuff that a parent would tell you, like, honey, this is not good for you, okay? So these are the type of friends. All right, so let's see. Don't be scared to turn them away. Oh, and this is the other thing, you guys. We talk a lot, and I did I don't know if I released the video or not yet. I think I'm going to release it on Tuesday. I don't know. It's in my queue. But anyway, the guy who you want to run from or run from you is not always the bad guy. It's not always the guy that's just trying to get in your pants. It's not always the guy who's verbally or emotionally abusive. It's not always the bad guy. Sometimes it's a good guy who's just not good for you. I talked to a guy who was not emotional at all, and he was not affectionate. He's like, you're too affectionate. You're too mushy. You're too this. He always would say, you're too. He wasn't a bad person. He just wasn't a good person for me. Maybe you hate traveling and this guy loves traveling. Maybe you want a whole house full of kids. This guy doesn't want any kids. Maybe you love turning up and going out every weekend. Maybe he's a homebody. He doesn't have to be a bad guy to be bad for you. And this is why you cannot be so desperate to cling onto a guy just because he's a warm body. Okay. How cute. Oh, sweet. She said, my nail color is everything. It is autumn. Yes, it is brown. Can you see it? It's like a little coffee brown. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm always scanning these comments. Okay, so don't be afraid. And communication, you guys, a lot of times people are just not developed. I let go of a guy who was so sweet. He was such a good guy. We're still friends to this day. But I let him go because there was just something off. There was something off, and he seemed like he wasn't healed from his past relationship. Not that he wanted to be with her, but he didn't seem like he was healed from his past relationship. And I want to say it was like maybe 6 months later, we ended up talking, and he said, you know what? I absolutely wasn't healed, and he didn't realize it at the time. It took me loving myself enough to know this man isn't giving me what I need, and he wasn't a bad guy. He's a great guy. I'd recommend him to anybody. But in that season, in that time, he wasn't right for me. So love yourself enough to know. Okay. And also, you guys, there's a lot of times that people will hold back from saying certain things simply because of the fact that they don't want to scare the person off. And like I said before, if you speaking your truth scares him off, that is perfect. Scare him off now before you have kids together and you're married or whatever. Thank you so much. Okay, so here is my last bullet point before I get to my final thoughts, and I'll just open it up to Q&A if you guys have it. Ooh, yikes. Okay, I'm kind of doing good on time, but it's still a little late. I like to keep it under 60 minutes if I can. Here are 4 characteristics. I did a reel on this on Instagram and on TikTok, but these are 4 characteristics. If you're taking notes, I would jot these down. 4 things to look for in a potential mate, because it doesn't mean they're a bad person, but if they don't have these, they probably are bad for you. Excuse me. Okay, disciplined. Are they disciplined in their personal life? How they show up in their personal life is a great indication of how they're going to show up for you guys as a couple. So self-discipline is something that I harp on to the point where I started the Sunshine Club teaching self-discipline, because discipline isn't about the fact that, yay, his bed is made. It's about the fact that you don't let your emotions override your mind. So if you make a decision to say, I'm going to make my bed every morning, sure, it takes a couple seconds to do it. But the self-discipline says, my mind is stronger than my emotions. And a guy whose emotions are stronger than his mind might cheat, might blow your savings, might do things because he can't control himself. All right. So self-discipline is really important. How disciplined is he? Does he keep up with his house? Does he keep up with his finances? Bless his heart. But I talked to one of my exes today, and he lost his phone. And I took everything not to be like, that is so you. He loses everything. Forgets passcodes, forgets this, forgets that. I'm sorry, but I cannot picture a man being a leader in my home if he cannot keep track of his pins, his passcodes, his, devices. It's just too much, okay? There's always an emergency. There's always a disaster. You are out of control, sir, and I need you to be in control. Number 2, empathy. Is this person empathetic? It is an actual, okay, if you go on the spectrum, I think it's called a sociopath or psychopath. I think it's psychopath, one of those two. But the person who's disconnected, they have no empathy. There's no connection to what their behavior does to other people in their mind. That is like the scariest thing. Well, you need to see where that person is on the spectrum, all right? Because when you're with someone long term and that is your partner, you need to make sure that he hurts when you hurt and vice versa. You do not want to have someone where you have to spell it out. Hey, I did not like it when you flirted with that girl right in front of my face. You want a person who has empathy, and you have to have discipline to act on that empathy. See where these are all tied together? Okay. Number 3, initiative. Does this person take initiative, or do I have to do everything? I had to ask him to get my number. I had to ask him to ask me out. I had to ask him to, help with this or help with this around the house. If you're always having to give this person instructions, it's going to be like that long term. So you want to see if this person takes initiative. And I will also say this, that a man who really likes a woman will take initiative. Even if he doesn't know what to do, he's going to at least ask. He's going to have the initiative to ask. And lastly, are they emotionally intelligent? Okay, it's kind of like kids. Kids, they don't pick up on things. That's why they blurt stuff out at the worst times. You want to see if this person is emotionally intelligent. Do you have to spell everything out? And no, I don't mean he has to read your mind, because a lot of women, we think that men should read our minds. But he should be able to read the room, okay, at the very least. Can this person read the room? It's not fun. We have to spell everything out. All right, so here are my final thoughts, and I will take any questions if you guys have specific questions right now. You guys are awesome. I love it when you are active in the comments, because it makes me feel like I'm talking to people and not a monitor on my screen. Okay, you deserve to feel love, you guys. You know what? No, I'm going to save my final thoughts till right before closing. I'm going to get to your questions. I see there's a question already right now. But before I get to your questions, you guys, my little mouse, okay, there we go, it's disconnected. For those of you who came in after the fact and you didn't see, I am excited to announce that I have a book. If you guys like the stuff that I am talking about, you will love this book. First Date 101, it is a man's guide to dating men. And the reason why I say that is because it is a compilation of feedback I got from the men in my group, which we have over 1,000 men in there. And they range from single, in relationships, married, divorced, all across the spectrum. And there were some things that were universal truths that all the guys agreed upon. So I gathered all that, put it into one book, and this is the way that you can make a great first impression on your first date. And I give the reasons behind. So it's not just facts and figures, it's the logic behind that. So if you guys are interested in getting a copy of that book, you can grab it by clicking the link below in the description. And I have that for sale there. And don't worry, guys, there's a book for you. Why Women Love Assholes, that explains what it is that je ne sais quoi that a lot of the bad guys have that you can have, so that you can be a good guy and still snag the girl. So make sure you guys grab that. Grab some merch if you want. I got a couple things up there. All right, so let's get to these questions, and I'm going to end with my closing thoughts, and we will be out here. Let me look at my phone so I can see this closer. Okie dokie, okie dokie. All right, is it Dammy? I hope I'm saying your name right. Dammy. We often talk about women giving too much to a man. How do we as men stop women taking advantage of our love? That is an amazing question. And I see this all the time with relationships. Sometimes you have to pull back just a little bit, okay? If I keep doing something for someone and they're not giving back, I'm not exercising my power. So you can give me an example if you would like about giving too much. But basically at the end of the day, you are the dictator of what is too much and too little. So if you feel like something is not being reciprocated, it's up to you to cut the faucet off. It's up to you. Nobody else will love us in the way that we want if we don't have our personal standards. I had somebody in my life who would just take. And anytime I would ask for even the smallest thing, he would either say no or give me so much attitude that I wished I hadn't even asked. I had to then start to pull back. If he asked me for favors, normally as a person, I would do it, no problem. It's my pleasure. But with him, I had to cut it off. So this is tough love to say this, but it's up to us to decide how much we give. And if we keep giving to someone who is clearly showing that they don't deserve it, that's on us. It's kind of like fool me once, shame on you, but fool me repetitively, what am I doing? You know, you got to pull back. This is why I say it's important to take time getting to know someone, and take time before you pull out all the stops. I don't mean be weird and don't be authentic. Be authentic with your emotions, but don't pull out all the stops until you start to see the person's character. And this goes both ways. And I absolutely love that the guys are watching because, like I said, these are truths that can go either way. Let me see if there are any other questions. Okay, I think a lot of these are comments. Okay, yeah, I think these are all comments. All right, guys, if you don't have any other questions, I'm going to start to wrap up with my closing thoughts. I just want you to know that you deserve love. And when you've done the spiritual work and you don't feel that nagging feeling that's giving you anxiety and making you feel depressed, you start to realize how dope you are. The other thing is that I always want to be careful with this advice. You know, there's a lot of raw content out there. It's like, you're awesome, you're great, you deserve everything. But there is a layer of accountability that we are responsible for. And not to keep harping on the Sunshine Club, but this is another reason why I focus on this. We all should be at our best. We want everyone else at their best. We should all be at our personal best. And I remember thinking to myself when I was younger, I think I was like a teenager, and I thought, what things are in my power to change outside of like cosmetic surgery, unless you classify like braces, you know, as surgery. But what things can I do in my control? And I think that we are loving ourselves when we put our best foot forward. So let's say you can afford to get your teeth fixed, right? Get them fixed. If they're not so white, get them whitened. You know, you can go to your local pharmacy or, you know, drugstore and get a kit. If your skin is bad, you can go to a dermatologist or start drinking more water. If you're overweight, we all know how to lose weight. We just don't do it, right? Maybe you dress really sloppily. Maybe you have a friend that dresses well. Ask them for help. There are always things that we can do within our power. And I never want to encourage people to just sit back and accept us as we are if we're not giving our personal best. I recently lost 20 pounds and I feel so much better about myself. I dress a lot cuter when I feel like my shape is where it needs to be, or at least close to it. So I also want to challenge you. If you're not in a relationship, or if you are in a relationship, your partner will be glad. Work on being your best. Control everything that's in your power to control. And then outside of that, you got to just trust God. Ladies, you deserve a man who cherishes you. You deserve someone who adores you and spends the rest of his life trying to keep a smile on your face. Don't just accept a guy who shows up. I dealt with a guy who gave me his time. He gave me quality time. And I found out, because I asked the right questions, that he didn't even want to be in a relationship. But the thing is that he was willing to give me his time. But I could tell over the course of time that he did not adore me, he did not cherish me, and he was not putting me as a top priority. So you deserve that. Don't settle for just the attention. Don't settle just because there's a warm body next to you. And again, you guys, I'm a big proponent of waiting for sex because it confuses a lot of stuff, even for the guy, if he is getting sex from you. So he might even be confused as to what it is that he likes about you, or if he really even does like you for you, your spirit man. Also, red flag, okay, just as a kind of like a recap. If you are scared to tell your truth, that is a huge red flag. It might just be something within you that you have an insecurity, but you need to get past it. Or it's because you know he's not really the one and he's about to run if you are honest with him. You cannot have a mate, a partner that is successful, a successful partner, if you're not capable of being honest. If you can't say, I don't feel like my needs are being met. I don't feel like I get enough of your time. I don't feel beautiful. I don't, I would like to get more compliments from you. You should be able to speak to your partner better than anybody, okay? So if you can be more honest with your girlfriend than you can, and more vulnerable with your girlfriend than you can with your guy that you're dating, that is a problem, all right? Force yourself to have that conversation, and it'll probably weed out some dudes that shouldn't be there. If you don't feel like you deserve love, I've seen people say this on Instagram, and that breaks my heart. Some guys said that I've had a woman say all these nice things to me, but it's hard for me to receive it because I don't feel like I deserve that, and it breaks my heart. That is spiritual work you need to do. You need to be able to have self-love where you feel like you are awesome, okay? Because you put in that work and you're as awesome as you can control, then you just need to love yourself. Again, if you guys want to support my content, I am still doing this on faith. and doing this off of my merchandise sales and things like that. You guys can support me on Patreon if you are in a position to subscribe and do the $5 package a month. That goes a long way when a couple people do it. So if you guys want to do that, my Patreon link is listed down below. You can also do a one-time gift if you want. You can cash at me, and if you want that information, I can give that to you. But I really do benefit from you guys because it takes a while to get your business super, super off the ground. And I am only 14 months in doing this full time. So I thank you so much. Don't forget to grab a copy of the book if that is something that you guys are interested. That is a quick read. And like I said, I've gotten really good feedback about it. My mouse is tripping. Sorry, guys. But go ahead and grab that if that's something that you're interested in. And if you do want to have that girl group like I talked about, make sure you drop me a comment here, or you can go to my Instagram and shoot me a DM. But if I get enough interest, I will put that together. I'll probably have that through Patreon, but we'll have a little bit of a community. If you guys like this conversation, let me know. I read every single comment after the fact because it's hard to read everything live. But let me know. I go off 100%, like I said, of your feedback. So please give me your feedback, even if you feel like other people have already said what you said. Say it, because it lets me know, okay, this is a common thread. And I always welcome suggestions as far as content. You guys, we are all in this together. And I wish you guys the best on your journey. I'm sorry, I'm having issues with my my mouse, so it's a little bit distracting. The girl group sounds good. Oh, and you know what, Chastity, honestly, so I use Facebook, right? I have multiple Facebook profile. That's a whole other story because I've just had issues with my pages getting shut down. But anybody who wants to really, really be candid, they can always set up, you know, another account. I don't care if it doesn't have a picture or whatever. I really want you guys to be able to have the information. So if you need to be private, you can definitely do that. Y'all, my mouse is driving me crazy. Sorry about that. I think my mouse needs to be charged. There we go, finally. All right, y'all. I don't even know if I can do this sign off if I can't even click this button. This is gonna be my first night where I can't finish my live stream. Apparently I need to charge this. All right, guys, I'm gonna close out here. How do you at people? It's not working for me. That's really odd. You should be able to do it if you just hit the at button and type it. But if the person is not still in the, if the person's not still watching the live, then you won't be able to do that. So I don't know how to do that otherwise. All right, guys, until next time, tell someone that you love them.